that you want to share, feel free to hit me up in the chat box. I'll also stream live on our Instagram, TikTok this time round. So if you're listening in on TikTok, feel free to use the comment section to add in some questions, but we'll dive straight into it. I'll also recommend some other episodes that strength and conditioning coaches tuned into this episode will benefit from engaging into. Sorry for the double up volume there, but let's get straight into it. So number one, what or how does the organization measure success of their high performance program? So for, let's look at AFL clubs, for example. It could be the head coach and the coaching panel and the leaders of the football club want the fittest and strongest and most physical, robust squad to give themselves the best chance to succeed for the upcoming season. And they're willing, in that pursuit, they're willing to lose a few to injury along the way. Obviously, hopefully no significant injuries, but essentially, obviously to put in to get those rewards for building robustness, we need to put in a high amount of stress, high amount of fatigue to saturate the system, and they're aware that that comes with a little bit more risk. Then there'll be another approach where we want to mitigate risk, and we want the most available list possible. So particularly around soft tissue injuries. Obviously, there's some contact injuries and trauma on the field that we can't prevent. But for the soft tissue injuries, limiting their risk of injury as best as possible, and therefore willing to sacrifice maybe the athletes not being in absolute best shape of their lives, but they're not far off it, of course. You need to be physically robust to perform at a high level. So they might be 5% less fit or strong in the gym, but they're really prioritizing availability, for example. And these are just two different angles. The majority of the time, it might be aiming for both available list and being a really physically robust status, and that's absolutely possible. But I'm just painting a picture of a couple of different options. So yeah, getting a good indication of what is the priority for the coaching team and leadership team. Then question number two, what opportunities exist for continuing education and professional development? So they may have a system they put in place. There might be a budget for the high performance staff that's already in place, or perhaps it's fluid and it changes from year to year, and there's a process you need to go through to give yourself a chance. There might also be no PD, for example, paid PD. It might need to be off your own bat. So a good thing to know. Why is this role vacant? So you're trying to get a better indication. More often than not, you'll be able to find this out through your own networks, asking around. Why did the person leave? Did they get promoted elsewhere? Did they lose their role? Has there been a structural change in the department where perhaps there was 4 physios and only 2 S&Cs. Now there's 3 physios, 3 strength and conditioning coaches. So getting an understanding of any changing in the department that may have taken place, or perhaps if someone did get sacked, asking some questions on, for what reason, because obviously there's some great learnings there for yourself, to not replicate the same mistakes that they made, and to be able to learn from their mistakes. Question number 4, what does success look like in this role? So that's another way of asking that question. So rather than looking at the mistakes and perhaps the negative side of what the previous person did in that role, if they were to get sacked, alternatively, you can also ask, what does success look like? And the people on that panel, it might be HR, general manager, high performance manager, and maybe a coach, for example. They might have different answers to this question. So the coach might be really interested in your ability to strengthen the group to help with their contest. The high performance manager might be looking for your skill set to work within a team, and how do you collaborate, and what are ways to maximize your staff members and your team members. And the general manager may be looking at things like around your energy and the culture of the group, how you're going to make an impact in that space. Question number 5, what is the team vision for the next 3 to 5 years? So that's just to get a bit of an idea of the values and the ambitions. They might want to win 2 premierships in the next 3 to 5 years. It might be getting themselves back into finals. Perhaps they haven't played finals for over a decade, and it's getting the teams back to being consistent performers again. And so just getting a bit of an indication on how they, what their vision is for the team and the club over the next few years. Question number 6, how does the HP department conduct feedback sessions? Is it formal? I've worked in environments where all feedback is informal, corridor conversations, and catch-ups, perhaps when things aren't going well. And then I've also worked in environments where there's routine meetings and you have a quarterly growth session and you catch up and there's a formal process that you filled out some questions going into that meeting, and then your manager or supervisor has also got some feedback for you directly. Question number 7, how involved are the coaching staff in the physical prep program? So the answer could be the high performance manager liaises with the coaching team. And unless there's questions from either the coaches to the rest of the high performance team, or questions from the high performance team to the coaches, then there's very little involvement. So example there could be obviously the high performance managers organising the conditioning sessions, warm-ups, and how the session's going to flow, how everything fits together in the training session. But the reconditioning staff may want to catch up with the lines coaches to discuss some recon skills that one of their athletes could be doing that day. So the reconditioning staff, their role is to understand the pathology and what the athlete can and can't do, where the coach can give a bit of indication on returning them to performance. This is how we need to prepare them to be able to get back to the main group, but also when they're back, they're performing at a high level, their skills are sharp. Question number 8, what are the key responsibilities for the other strength and conditioning members in the team? So getting indication, every club's slightly different. The classic model that I'm aware of is the high performance manager looks after the conditioning program and oversees the whole program. The strength and power coach typically manages the gym and pre-field activities like sprinting, acceleration, agility, and maybe some extra work around contest and tackling. Then there'll be a strength and conditioning rehab coach that works with the medical team to bring athletes back to return to performance. But there are other clubs, and then you might have an assistant S&C, a strength and conditioning coach that works with the young players in the gym and on the field, and manages the VFL program. So that's probably the classic model over the last 5-6 years, or maybe even 10 years. But now there's slight different variances in there. So just getting an understanding of what roles are in place in the team that you're hoping to work with. How does the organisation manage conflict amongst staff, coaches and players? This is an interesting one. It's not one I've asked in the past, but I can understand if you've worked in an environment where you've had trouble in this space, you could easily be interested in how the club deals with conflict. So if that's something that concerns you, then absolutely ask the question. And then number 10, what is the timetable for making a decision? What are the next steps? So obviously you want to understand if this is interview 2, or is there going to be another interview? To give yourself a bit of an idea to prepare yourself for the next step, but also give an idea of timeframes. Perhaps you're going for a couple other roles, and you're trying to get an indication on if you need to move house, whatever it might be. Organise your current workplace that you're working with if you're already employed. So asking that question just gives you a bit of an idea of, is this going to be another 3 weeks? Is it going to be the decision's going to be in the next week? So forth. So you might think that would be, you can expect that, or you would assume that would be discussed, but I wouldn't assume. I would definitely put it in as a question. If these 10 questions were helpful to you, then make sure to check out these 2 podcast episodes. Episode 119, I provide 10 LinkedIn secrets to really enhance your LinkedIn profile. If you're looking for a job, more often than not, people will look up you on LinkedIn. So your branding is really important, and branding is just whatever's out there that is connected to your name. That's branding. So your branding, if you've created a LinkedIn profile, whether you like it or not, so you may as well make it effective in helping your cause, rather than putting little effort in there and communicating the wrong message. So make sure to check out that one, episode 119. If you look up 10 LinkedIn secrets, I'm sure it'll pop up in Spotify, iTunes in the search section. Episode 112, Elite Insights from High Performance Professionals. This is where I conducted a questionnaire, sent it out to over 20 professionals that are, majority of them high performance managers. They've been in the industry for over a decade, and they had lots of clues and tips for the next generation of strength and conditioning staff, essentially. Put all that information together, collated it, and put it in a podcast. So 112, you'll absolutely get some gems out of that one. And then our next live episode is with Anthony Rupi. That'll be the 27th of September at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you're around, if you have any questions for Anthony, make sure to send them through. Really looking forward to catching up with his work in rugby at the highest level. And he has real expertise when it comes to conditioning and main group management, high performance management. So looking forward to that chat. Make sure if you're interested in our high performance certificate or our academy is actually going to go up in price in the next 30 days from $20 a month to $40. So if you're a foundational member, don't sweat. You're going to stay on the $20 a month. But if you haven't signed up, you've got till the end of September to save, to make that savings and be a foundational member. So make sure to check that out at preparelikeaproacademy.com.au. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you on the next episode.